Hey Ringside crew, welcome to the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. And now here's your host, Joe Panther III.
Hello there, wrestling fans, and welcome to another episode of the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. Today, we have a gentleman that is making his big rise in the independent wrestling scene. Introduce yourself to my internationally known audience.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tanner Renken. I also go by the Warrior or the Powerhouse here in Nebraska, wrestling as far and wide across Nebraska as I can, from Omaha to Lincoln to Grand Island. And I'm happy to be here today.
Awesome. So, what made you take this big adventure into professional wrestling?
So, essentially, I've been a wrestling fan since I was about 7. I met this kid at the neighborhood pool. He just kept talking my ear off about wrestling and this and that, and I was like, "Oh, it sounds cool." I've never seen it before. Invited me over to his house. He booted up SmackDown versus Raw 2007. I was blown away by what was happening in the game. So when he told me that they do this on TV, I was like, "Yo, that's nuts." So went ahead and I went home and got on the TV, flipping through channels, and out of nowhere, I stumble upon, John Cena hitting the FU on Mark Henry, hitting a nice flex, and I was like, oh, wow. I was like, this stuff is crazy. So I got hooked ever since then. But what ended up happening was back in 2019, going through my second semester of college at the University of Nebraska Lincoln, we were just going through some tough times financially, me and my wife, and so I was just like, "Hey, how would you feel about me just saying screw it and just trying this wrestling thing out?" I had asked her before a few times back when we were in high school, and she's always like, "No, no, no, don't do it, don't do it." But this time it was just like, "Yeah, you know what? Why not? Let's just see what happens." And so ever since then, I got into training, and I've just been on that grind, I guess.
Awesome. So, who trained you?
So I train with a company called PWP Live in Omaha. They've been running ever since 2005. About to hit their 20th year next May. So essentially, the way that they do it is if you agree to be a part of the ring crew, they'll train you for free and everything like that. They put on shows monthly and everything like that. So I've been working with them and some of the vets that come through as well in order to get trained.
Awesome. So, what's like been the toughest? What was the toughest thing you had to do when you first went into the training? Was it like more the jumps, squats, the runs? Like, what was the toughest thing you had to do?
Honestly, it's all come pretty naturally. I was always one of those trampoline wrestler guys, have a trampoline in the backyard, force all my friends to let me practice moves on them and stuff like that. And it all came pretty naturally. I'd say the hardest part is just hitting the ropes. I think the ropes hurt worse than any slam I could take. And just doing that repeatedly, just carving into your back. That part just straight up sucks. But besides that, I mean, it really, it, m- dropping the ego was probably the biggest thing, because everybody's like telling you you're doing a great job and blah blah blah, and just like making sure it doesn't get to your head, keeping your mental in check and everything like that. That was the biggest hurdle to get past, and make sure that I stay as humble as possible throughout all of this.
That's the one thing. When wrestlers come on here, it's just like wrestlers think that they can just come into this wrestling world and just become the John Cena or the Hulk Hogan of the promotion. You start at the
Hmm.
bottom. You're training. You're learning. You're taking your bumps. You're learning how to take that step forward to one day be the John Cena's, the Undertaker's, the Randy Orton's, all those people. But now like when you first when you first step foot in the training facility, like as a new wrestler, a new trainee, did
Hmm.
did you think that you were gonna get this far? Or did you think like, oh, it's not for me? Or like were you really like what were you thinking?
I don't wanna say that I didn't think that I could do it. There was times where it definitely got hard later on, but when I first showed up and I first got to step foot in the ring for the first time, it just felt like home in a way, you know? It just felt like, God, I just need to make sure I stay at this. I'm one of those guys who has like so many different hobbies, you know, and I'll pick one up one month and I'll drop it later and this and that. And but this was one thing where it was like, man, I can't put this one down. This one is way too much fun. It's a lot of pain, but it's worth the pain. It's a lot of mental exhaustion, but it's worth every single bit of that as well. I don't know what it was about wrestling, but so far it's just been addicting is probably what I could say about it.
So when you're getting up ready for a show,
Mhm.
do you have to like schedule things accordingly, like training, like food prep and stuff like that?
So, um, not necessarily. I've kind of just kept my training as is, and with me being a part of the ring crew for every show that I've been on, it's that feels almost tougher than some of the training I do anyway. You know, what I do is I'll still hit the gym like 5 times, a week and everything like that. My diet isn't where it should be right now, but it's definitely getting better. But as far as like show week, it kind of depends on what I know my body's going to be able to take. Like for example, uh this week PWP is going to be performing at O Comic Con, which is held in
Wow.
Council Bluffs, Iowa, and what we do is 3 shows a day over the whole weekend. So I have 9 matches coming up, uh, over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I know if I beat myself too much up in the gym, come that ninth match on Sunday, I'm not gonna be able to perform well enough for the crowd. So I have to make sure I adjust the workload accordingly, or else my body won't be able to hang.
So when you travel, do you have to like bring stuff with you? Do you bring snacks? Do you bring like you have to go to the grocery store and pick up like sandwich material? So if you have to bring eat a lunch that day,
Mhm.
or do you just wait till you get to like the hotel or the place you're going to see what's the land like?
Yeah, typically all that I do is I'll first hit a gas station on the way out of town, fill up my tank, hate my life for paying that much for gas, and then I'll grab as many like whatever snacks I think I'll actually need throughout the day. But I always make sure that I have like, 3 to 4 energy drinks in my bag every single time because
Mm,
that's usually the toughest part. Is just having the energy just to keep going, basically.
yeah. Have you ever had to stay in a hotel, or do you just go to your shows and then go home?
Typically, I just do the show and go home. I haven't reached too far in terms of Nebraska. I mean, I went out to McCook, and I live in Lincoln, so that's a 4.5 hour drive. And so that one was tough, but I I rode with some buddies and everything like that, and we did it just fine.
Mm. Yeah, it's sometimes I've heard from wrestlers it's really tough because you guys are always out, you're on your feet, you're like traveling to places like 1 o'clock in the morning, traveling,
Yeah.
getting to the venue. Sometimes you guys get there like 5, 6 o'clock. Sometimes you guys probably don't eat your dinner till actually after the show. So what is like your
Yep.
normal go-to like food after the show?
Typically, it's just whatever's available, honestly. It's hard to be picky when, you're that hungry after your match, you know what I mean? Like, literally, kinda like how you mentioned, I'll get there, I'll try to eat on the way to the venue, and then I'll help set up the ring. Me and my, dancing partner will go over the match, put a match together, everything like that, get in the moment, get geared up, get ready to go, do the match, and then finally after all that, that 6 hour, 7 hour window, I'll get to eat something. So honestly, it's hard for me to be picky after that. Like, if there's a McDonald's open, best believe I'm hitting the McDonald's. Like I'll take whatever.
See, I'm on the East Coast. We have like Sheets. We got Sheets. We got Wawas by me.
Mhm.
Is there like any like little hidden gems in Nebraska that us East Coast people don't know about that you guys know about in Nebraska?
The big one here in Nebraska is Runza, right?
Mm.
And so what Runza is that they have a specialty sandwich called the Runza, and it's about like yay big. And what it is that it's beef, braised cabbage, onion, and seasoning all packed into this dough that gets baked and everything like that. And it's pretty nice. And then you can customize it however you like. The popular one is usually like a Swiss mushroom Runza. They'll just cut it open and they'll put mushrooms and Swiss cheese on it. And oh yeah, they've it's everybody loves
I'm
Runza here.
already in love. Runza, if you're watching this podcast for some reason because you have a gentleman from your area, you're always looking for a sponsor and definitely send just overnight me one in a hot box. I'll eat it. I'll eat
Right.
anything. I'm a Eric Cartman without the gut. I'll just inhale it.
Right.
Like there's I think there's a such thing as a hot box. You could stick it into like a free. They have the ice box. They send ice
Right.
cream in from other places.
Well, yeah, they you can order frozen Runzas from them too because people who leave Nebraska always bitch about not being able to get back to Runza and everything like that. So their they'll ship out like frozen Runzas. You can order like a whole dozen and then just bake them yourself and stuff like that.
That'd be funny if like after this on Facebook they're like, "Don't forget us. We want to be
Right.
help you." I'm like, "Send me one to PA. I want to try it."
Right, right.
Run says open one in PA. But it's funny. We got, as I said, we got Sheets, we got Wawa.
Mhm.
And no, I know it's Nebraska, but do you guys got any good like pizza places over there?
Like local joints, I can't really think of like one off the top of my head. I know that Topper's Pizza is pretty popular here in the Midwest in general. I think that started in Wisconsin, but that's pretty much the go-to for out here in Lincoln. I know that. But yeah, Nebraska originating, Godfathers would be the go-to, I'd say. Or Valentino's. Actually, Valentino's, now that I thought about it. Valentino's is pretty big. They're one of the other foods that get sold at Memorial Stadium for the Husker games and for football and everything like that. So
It's
Valentino's is
funny.
huge.
By me, we have a Goodfellas pizza place, and I
Mhm.
swear the slice is about this big.
Oh wow.
It's one of those big. Me and my dad always get full. We're like, "Oh, we'll take two slices," and the girl goes, "Okay." It's
Right.
like, are you gonna tell him? Like, you just freaking you're ruining your whole life. And my dad now tells him, "Can you cut it in half so we can both get a piece?" Like,
Right.
he knows. They know that. They're like, "Oh man, they know." They're ruining it. So, like,
Right.
when you're on your off day, do you get a chance to like play your video games and just like relax, or do you always have to train and stuff like that?
So yes, I just kind of force myself to make time for hobbies. It's tough because like when I'm home, it's just like I'm so like lethargic. And it's like I already got to put energy towards like my day job, which doesn't require much energy, but it does take up time. And then I also got to put time towards gym right after I get off, and then it's like finally I get to come home and it's like I just want to do nothing but just, chill. Like even gaming
Ah,
gets tough sometimes, but
yeah, yeah. So when you go on your trips for the wrestling shows, do you ever get a chance to stop and get little keychains or little knickknacks from the little stops you're near?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm one of those people who is like, as little stops as possible. But, like, yeah, I mean, whenever it's possible and I need to stop or something like that, stretch the legs, God bless. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, you can see whatever on the way. Depends on how much time you make for yourself.
Yeah, it's difficult for you guys because I know a lot of times people just go they're like, "Oh, I don't stop, I can't stop because I'm doing this, and this." So
Mhm,
like with your wrestling career and your real some a lot of people have like the real job and stuff like that. Does
mhm.
it mess up like on a Saturday that you're supposed to be at work, or does it do they know you're a wrestler?
So, I mean, yeah, it gets pretty tough. I've had to leave a couple of jobs just because of scheduling issues. Like I used to work at Walmart, it's a very simple day job to have. They pay pretty decent. for today's economy and stuff like that. And I was like an electronics associate there, but as soon as like my wrestling got busier and busier, it's like, well, we can't give you this day off. Then it's like, all right, well, my wrestling has to come first, you know? So it's like I had to leave that job. Then there's another job that I had to leave and stuff like that. But right now I work for as an assistant for an eye doctor.
Mm,
And essentially he said, you know, we can make whatever work, you know, whatever you need, we can make it work scheduling wise. Just let me know ahead of time and everything like that. So far so good, you know, like
fingers crossed
I
for
really
you, I
haven't
guess.
right. So far, like nothing has been a problem. You know, June has been a really busy month for me too. So like I was kind of concerned, but you know, we've handled June perfectly well. So I don't think it will get much harder than that. So
Yeah, that's the crazy part about being like, I'm just a fan, but I do this podcast, and I like my job is going. They need you on Sundays, and I'm like, there is
mhm.
British people that like to talk to me.
Yeah, right.
Only days I can talk to them is on Sundays because that's when I'm
Mhm.
available early in the morning. Yikes!
Right.
So, what does your family think about you being a wrestler? Are they all in? Is it a big party when you go to your shows? Do they all show up and stuff like that?
Yeah, it depends on who you ask. For the longest time, there really wasn't much support from anybody, right? Uh, to give a little bit of background, like I said, I started training when I was 19 back in 2019. And the training's pretty slow paced because we do, you know, shows once a month and everything like that. So it's not like I was able to just get in and get out in 3 months like most guys traditionally do. Um, but what had happened was when COVID hit, I had to take a break, right? So
Mm,
2020 and most of 21, I was not able to actually participate wrestling wise because my wife is diabetic. So we couldn't risk anything. You know, we had no knowledge of what that would actually do or anything like that in terms of COVID. So it was like, let's just not even take the risk. So instead, I took that break. Um, and that was horrible because I got really fat. I got up to 286 and because I couldn't even go to the gyms or anything like that. So finally, when I got back into it, I cut some weight off, got back down to 260. And then finally it took until October of last year for me to like truly break out and everything like that. So during the whole training arc and COVID era and everything like that, everybody's like, "Come on, what are you doing? Like, why don't you just get a 9 to 5, work copious amounts of overtime, and make yourself some money?" And it's like, guys, you don't see the vision I'm seeing. But of course, now that, you know, I'm working consistently, everything like that, and I'm making my name as well known as I possibly can. Of course, now my parents see the vision, but there's still extended family who are like, "Why is he doing it?" You know, it's like my parents, who are very important to me, they both are all in now. They completely understand why I was grinding so hard and everything like that. So,
that's good. That's good that now they could see it because, like, with my parents with the podcast, they were like, "Oh, he just liked us," and then they started
mhm.
seeing like people actually reacting to me at shows. Oh my god, that show. Oh my god, I love your show. You're
Yep.
so good. You make my day when I watch your shows. There's a guy that I know. He he's one of my people that I go to my school Friday school I go to. He
Mhm.
watches every one of my episodes. He's not here today, but he's like my number one fan. His name is Vinny.
Mhm.
So Vinny, if you're watching this at the later on, Vinny, you're the best. I always appreciate you, man. You're my number one fan. He always goes, number one fan. Yep, number one fan. He always does it. So
There you go.
yeah, Mr. Vinny. Oh man, you would love Vinny. He's funny. He's such a funny guy. He's so funny.
Hell yeah.
He's like, dude, to ringside. Yeah, I'm number one fan. It's like he'd be like with the big Vinny glasses, sharp mustache. And, yeah, I'm number one fan.
Right.
Yeah,
Hell
that's
yeah.
me. Number one fan. My head, I can see Vinny with the shirt on. I'm like, hey, Vinny, did you pay me for that shirt? No. I'm your number one fan. I'm allowed to use your logo. Fine. Jeez. Okay. Sorry. Like, have you ever gotten like fan art, like pictures or anything like from like a fan or anything?
Yeah, actually, just last month in Omaha, I had a fan come up to me and she made my she spelled out my name and it was in the style of my logo almost, but it was my full name and it was in my black, blue, silver colors and stuff like that I use for my gimmick and she did it in embroidery and I was like, "Oh, damn, that's really cool." And she made like a little hanger for it. So that was really dope. I've got that hanging up over on my calendar out in the living room. So,
That's cool. That's really cool, man. That's really, really cool.
mhm,
So with your
mhm,
gear, did you make it or did you like just sketch it up so the artist that you made your gear knew what to do,
mhm.
or did they like say, "Oh, I think this is the way you should do your gear"?
Yeah, so I designed it myself. I designed like the front logo and the text on the back. I designed like the color scheme. I ended up going through eLucha to have it custom made only because it was crunch time because this happened last year. I debuted at Comic Con last year for the company that I was training with, PWP. And so it was like, man, I need a singlet like as soon as possible. And so I went with Elucha and it actually turned out really nice. I've gotten a lot of I got a lot of comments on it, compliments on it, surprisingly. Like I didn't think it was that special, but like one of the guys told me, like, not very many guys design their own gear, so it all looks like copy paste, and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I've got built to win on my back, and so since I'm a heel, it's pretty great because everybody just chants built to lose. I don't even have to do anything. They
Oh,
just know what to do.
wow,
So,
that's cold. Fans can be downright mean. Have you
oh
ever
yeah.
like Have you ever I know a wrestler in Long Island named Joey Conway. He doesn't even
Mhm.
have to do anything to the fans, to little kids. He just looks at them and they just start crying. Have you ever had like a
Right.
moment of like when a fan thinks that the little kid or whatever thinks they're gonna get you, and you just look at them, you do something, and the fans are like, "What?" And then they know you got them.
Oh, I mean, there was a moment back in April when I went out to McCook, Nebraska, and there was this kid was about like 7 years old, I'd say. I was wrestling the guy who runs the company named Brian Blade, and he's a longtime vet. And I was wrestling him, and we were on the outside of the ring, and we, brawled right past this kid and his family and everything like that. They were sitting at a table, and at one point, I threw Brian right into the wall right by him, and I was yelling at him. I was like, "This is your hero, blah blah blah, this and that." I shit you not. This kid stood up from the steel chair he was sitting on, folded it up, and got ready to like defend himself from me. And I literally just looked at him, and I was like, "I don't know what the hell you think you're doing, kid, but don't even think about it." And I shit you not, his mom had the audacity to say, "Stand your ground, son, stand your ground." And I was like, "What the hell?" I was like, "I'm not gonna fight your kid." And so I just
It's a
looked at him
wrestling
and then he
show, really?
right. And so he
Like,
slowly put
dude,
the chair
really?
down. I was like, "Damn." I was
What are we in the streets of Harlem? Like, what the
I was like, "I want
stand
heat,
your
but I don't
ground,
want that
kid?
kind of
Like,
heat."
do you believe they like? Do you realize your kid's about to get launched like Kermit the Frog if he even puts
Right,
one
right.
finger on you? Like
Honestly.
I was at a show yesterday. Shout out to Smash Masters Wrestling in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Yes, Scranton, Pennsylvania. They did a show at Voodoo Brewery again, and man, they really brought down the house. I got a chance to get in the ring for the first time ever because they said, "Joe,
Oh,
you
okay.
can get in the ring and just take pictures." It hit me because that my friend got scared because he says, "Soon as you walked to the corner and went on the top rope, I got scared." He's like, "Joe's gonna pull a Vince McMahon." Joe's gonna pull a Vince McMahon and pull both hamstrings and go down. And
Right.
I was like, oh great. And like, oh, we got some people watching.
Hell yeah.
Can you see it? It's on the screen.
Yep.
And we got some more here. We got a question.
Says, "Hey Tanner, Adam here. If you could have a WWE dead or alive wrestler be your mentor, who would it be?" Um, so in terms of like my physique, I would love to have Rhino like give me as much advice as possible, which is ironically great because I've been saying this for a while. And Rhino is actually going to be at a PWP show wrestling for the PWP title July 6th, and he's going to run a seminar and everything like that. So I'm going to actually be able to get some time and like get some advice from him. But long term, he would be wonderful as a mentor to truly how to be a wide bodied, not so tall, aggressive, over the top powerhouse type,
Crazy dude that
that
just
would honestly just be perfect.
like that's a nice question. The walking, nice question, dude. Thank you for the question. I'm trying to read his name. I'm like, I
Right.
feel like Tina. I feel like Tina from Bob's Burgers. Read certain names because YouTube, the names are so close together. I'm like, oh my god, how do people read my name on YouTube? Joe Panther Variety Show. I'm like, they can read.
Right.
They can heal for read.
Right.
That's crazy. So, as I said before we were recording, like, is there anywhere on the East Coast that you've been like throwing darts and you want to go here, and there? You know?
Nowhere in specific. I've been trying to keep my goals like pretty small in a way. Like guys they'll get in the business and they're like, okay, after I'm done taking over this company, I'm heading straight to the WWE and then I'm getting my WrestleMania moment and blah blah blah, this and that. For me, it's been like, okay, I want to start at this company and then I want to branch out to these two companies, then you know, get out well known more in the Midwest and then branch out from there and stuff like that. So honestly, it's like whatever opportunity comes my way, I'm gonna be all for. It's just being patient basically is my main ideology when it comes to it. But I would love to work on the East Coast and really get a feel for how it is. Like I know how the fans out there get, and they
Oh
love
yeah.
their wrestling.
I got a chance to see a wrestler that I thought I would never be able to see wrestle live. Effie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Effie is something else live. Hearing that song by Elton John, Yellow Brick Road, and then everybody
Yep.
just starts to sing it, and I'm like, wow, his music really is the bar. It's like a bar. Everybody's like,
Right.
oh, I'm like, oh my god, it's kind of cool. He let me try on his leather jacket.
Oh yeah.
Pink leather jacket. I'm 5'1" and about like 100 and something pounds. Leather jacket. You just fling it and put it on. I fling
Yeah.
that thing in the air, put it on my shoulders, and it just went boof. Brr. My neck went down 10 octaves. I thought I heard my spine go.
Oh, God bless.
I was like, I put it on. I'm like, I had to adjust myself. I was like, dang. Yeah. But he
Right,
actually was like, better give it back. And I'm like, oh God, don't worry, Mr. Happy. You're good. I watched you just
right.
did the ring to that poor young wrestler. You're good. Yeah. Yeah. But it was cool. I love what Effie does. He's such a good wrestler and like such a nice guy. Have you had a chance to wrestle on any of his rosters yet?
No, not yet, no,
Yeah,
but
he's interesting, an interesting character, interesting person. Are you scouting any other wrestlers? I know you're a heel. Do you have like scout any like other faces that are like in promotions that you've been trying to get into in Nebraska or that area is near it?
not necessarily. I mean, so when it comes to like the area, Nebraska and Iowa are pretty well integrated with each other. Um and for me, it's just kind of like I said, just being patient for my opportunity. I haven't really been trying to set anything massive up by any means, but there's definitely like a few guys that I'm really interested in working soon and stuff like that. But it's mostly just whatever the promotions will give me at this point in time. But soon I will more than likely have a few names to bring up with certain promoters.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like figured to ask because I've asked you that before with other wrestlers, and they're like, "I want to wrestle this guy, that guy, or this girl, and see
Hmm.
if I can get in a an intergender match." So like, I've asked this to
Right.
a bunch of wrestlers this year. Like, is there like a limit for you? Like, if a promoter came in and asked you to do like a death match or like a crazy match, do you have a limit? Like every wrestler has a limit. Is there a limit for you?
I mean, I'll do whatever. Like my main thing is like barbed wire and thumbtacks. That's about it. Anything else I'm game for, but barbed wire and thumbtacks, I don't know what it is. Just gives me the ick. I ain't here for it, you know.
Yeah, I watched the Dark Side of the Ring with the deathmatch episode, and I was
Hmm.
just like, my buddy that's non-wrestling fan, he watched it with me, and
Hmm.
every episode he looked at me like this.
Right.
Oh my god! And I said, "We are just starting this, brother. This
Right.
is you've walked into a trap." He's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Wrestling, where the
Yeah.
cocaine and the beer and all the other drugs flow." Like,
For real though. That's
I
no
said,
joke.
"Wait till you get to the deathmatch episode of Dark Side of the Ring." He's like,
Hmm.
"Uh-oh, it's bad." I said, "Oof,
Oof.
it's pretty scary." And that's another thing. The light bulbs. Oh my gosh, those are
Right.
yeah.
But they honestly don't seem near as bad to take as like certain other things. Like I said, barbed wire just seems so damn brutal, you know what I mean? Like just the way it just hooks into your skin. It's just like like I mean,
It's like getting stabbed with a fork again and again and again.
right, right. It's like, for me it's
I
like I don't
watched
know,
too much
like
Final Destination. Like,
right,
you know
right.
what I mean? Final Destination when the barbed wire goes around the guy's neck and just chops his
Yep.
head off. It's like,
Yep.
no. My friend's like, "It's not that deep, Joe. The barbed wire won't chop your head off." Or would it?
Right, right.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Another question.
Another question by the Walking Bigfoot here. Now that you're the champion, do you have to ask to have matches, or do you automatically get matches at events since you're a big name now? I mean, I'm so deeply integrated with the companies that I work with that I don't really have to ask to have matches. They'll just say, "Are you available for this event?" I'll say, "Yep," and then they'll be like, "All right, we got you." And that's pretty much all that it ever is. I don't ever expect to not be booked on a show really anymore, thank God. Because for a while it was like, oh geez, like when I'm first starting out, it's like I have to ask, like, you got room for me or anything like that, you know? But now it's just, it's coming pretty steadily, which I appreciate, but my body does not. So
Thank you for the question. That awesome and the awesome question, Walking Bigfoot. That's thank
mhm.
you again. That I have two other episodes live this week. I have today with this awesome gentleman right here, and I got one tomorrow with Ghost Head Nerd Talk, and then Wednesday I have a female wrestler from Canada, the Angry Red. It sounds like she's like really angry, so I'm scared. I'm gonna have to bring some heat.
Right.
Don't burn my glasses. I need them. They're important. So like I by me there's like a real like there's big venues and really small venues. Do you have any stories about any like really small venues that you've ever encountered?
um, I mean, I can't say I've worked like a tiny venue by any means, but like for example, we did a show in Grand Island a couple weeks ago. And the first time that we did a show there was really great because even though like seating wise it could only fit like 60 people, there ended up being like over 200. And a big part of that was it was the first show at this new venue, and it was also Super Mech Sean Hernandez was on the show as well. And freaking this last time though, I mean, we still had Beer City Bruiser with us on this show to Grand Island as well, but unfortunately, I think with it being so close to Memorial Weekend and everything like that, it just the turnout wasn't there, and it was about like 50 people, and it was I don't even know if we reached 50. It was tough to keep that crowd into the matches and everything like that, but I mean it gets tough, but I mean, otherwise, like, the crowd was still into it though. Like they were still having fun, just a little bit more shy than normal.
Yeah, that's the difficult part. Like I went to like a taco fest and they had a ring in the middle of a field, and then they had all these trucks on the other side of the room. Like people kept going back and forth to the truck. Sometimes they never even came back to the ring, and I'm standing there like wrestling. And then out of nowhere, this whole wall of people just stood there. I'm like, man, you all go get your tacos and leave me alone. I want to watch my
Right.
wrestling. Like, have you ever done anything like that yet? Like a taco fest?
No, not yet. I've been invited to a couple lucha shows, but unfortunately, like, they just haven't been schedule wise, they haven't lined up. Like I got invited to come out to one. I think it happened yesterday. And it was an outside venue, food truck, all that stuff, and uh good old fashioned get together. The only thing is like I think I luckily luckily I had to work because it was like 100 degrees here yesterday and it's an outside thing, and it's like the canvas was basically on fire and
Yeah.
everything. So,
101. I know.
right.
I heard the horror stories from Joey. He says that you think that it's bad when once they have the ring is black, the ropes are black,
Hmm.
the buckles are black, and you hit that mat, it's like hitting the sun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you have to jump over the top rope to do a spot, you slip. Those ropes are they won't give. They're wire, so
Right.
they sweat. So you bounce,
Yep.
you could kill yourself. Like
Yep.
even though you have to fake like you tripped, but like whoa, like
Yep.
geez. So like as being a bigger wrestler, what would you find to be the toughest thing? To have to like jump off the top rope and like catch yourself or like go under the rope and try to slide out?
It is ridiculous, like, how tough it is to just roll out of the ring, you know? Like, just to roll out of the bottom rope is annoying. I hate having it because I normally just have to, like, shimmy my way out. It's like I find that way more annoying than anything off the top. Like, going underneath that bottom rope is ridiculous.
Me even getting in the ring to go take the pictures. The girl's like, "Do you want to go over the top rope, like the above?" And I'm like, "I'm five." I looked at the girl like, "Does she realize I'm like 5'1"?"
Right.
I'm like, I found a little cushion between the bottom rope, the last rope, and like
Mhm.
the rope above it. So I was like, and then she's like, "I'll pull it down." I'm like, I could just. I'm like, I'm not that little. I could actually lean. But I was thinking she's
Right.
probably saving my crotch from being like destroyed by the the
Right.
rope.
Right.
And then when I did like a pose, like I leaned into the rope, and I'm only thinking in my head is this rope's not gonna hit me, and I'm gonna go do like Kermit the Frog and like flop out of the ring, like
Right.
fall backwards. It was funny when I was doing my picture. I said that's the picture I posted on Instagram. I
Mhm.
actually got onto the top rope and I was on like middle row. I was like on the rope. My feet were on the tippy toes and everything. And that's when my friend's like, he's gonna pull a hammy. He's gonna pull a hammy. All I can think
Right.
is he's like, if my boy Joe falls and hits his face, I'm gonna have to take his tell him the girl to give me his phone. Mr. Tiguez, I'm so sorry your son hit himself in the ring. Why? He's a dumbass.
Right.
Yeah. So has there ever been like a moment that there like you've looked back on like what you've done and then look at it now, like going back to like your very first match and like
Mhm.
going back to look and see what you've done?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, I even have, like, my first practice match, still on my phone from back in 2019, and it's like I look at my past self there, and, that's 5 years ago, and it's like, it's crazy how different everything is now, you know? Like, it's just been a wild journey, and it's like, I don't think that if I told myself from 5 years ago what I've managed to be able to do, I don't think that even he would believe it. Like,
Mm.
just on Saturday, I we had a steel cage, war games-esque match,
Ooh.
and it was a 4v4, and on the face side, was, Hernandez, and it was just like being locked in a steel cage with super mechs. It's just
Oh,
like, like, what the hell
LAX.
is even happening? Right. It's like, what the hell is even happening right now? It's like I gotta really remind myself to be as grateful as possible for what I've been able to be a part of because like sometimes it's like, it's just weird because it's like, why am I so lucky to get to be in this position? You know what I mean? So
Did you get a chance to ask Supermax any kind of questions?
oh yeah, I this was my second time being in the ring with him and everything like that, and I got to ask him, I anytime I get the opportunity to have or see any vet in any locker room, I always make sure and ask them for as much advice as they're willing to give me. And Hernandez just told me he was just like, you just got to make sure you stay aggressive, keep that character really aggressive over the top, blah blah blah, this and that. um, but he just, he thanked me for being able to take what he was giving me and everything like that. I think I took at least 13 chops from him on Saturday. So that was great. He's got some sick chops. I'll tell you
Like
what,
over the
Hernandez,
top, like Ric Flair chops. How
no,
did
no, just regular knife edge chops. He'll put his whole forearm, his whole body into it. He's a massive dude and he hits like a
it
tank.
must have had? Do you have video of the clips from that?
I don't have any videos. I just have photos of the aftermath and the scars to show.
Oh my
Like,
gosh! Oh my god! Oh my, imagine trying to show your wife she didn't go to the show that night, and you're like, "Honey, what's wrong? Why you take? I gotta show you my chest. Look at this."
mhm, right.
Like, did you
She
get a
had the
chance? No, I didn't get
unfortunate
his autograph, but he chopped my chest for life. Like,
right.
give me a
She had the
permanent
unfortunate
scar.
pleasure of watching every single chop that happened, and she just I mean, I think she's more used to watching me, take some crap in the ring and shit like that, but it's like when it comes to them chops, she saw because he chopped me like 3 times back in February, and literally like my whole left pec was just yellow for a whole two
Oh my
weeks.
god!
So it's like I don't know how this is gonna heal, but I got Comic Con this weekend, and I swear to God, if anybody tries to chop me with the damage I'm working with, I'm gonna be heated a little bit.
Like, you remember when Sheamus used to get chopped all the time, and it
Oh
was just
yeah,
like, you know what's funny? I think they even added that in the game that he would get like
right,
the red on his chest. Like they had to, because like,
right.
didn't he bleed one time because he got chopped so much by one of the wrestlers?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I started bleeding a little bit on right here. I got one of the cuts pretty bad, and it almost started pouring blood, but it didn't. It just stopped right at the surface. But
With
yeah, it
that
gets brutal.
situation, do they have to like have a referee on hand with gloves like WWE does, or like?
No, no. Unfortunately, at these indie shows, it's just you better have brought a first aid kit, honestly, in your gear if you're gonna worry about it.
Yeah, that's the tough part. Like an indie show, they have there's a lot of shows like on Long Island and in PA. You always have to have an ambulance on like location, and you have to have
Oh, really?
a nurse or a doctor
Mm,
on location all the time
mm.
just to see if everybody's okay. So, in closing, if you have any shows coming up, the stage is yours.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in Council Bluffs, Iowa, we are putting on a show at Old Comic Con at the Mid America Center. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we have 3 shows each day of those. And then July 6th, PWP Live is putting on a show in Omaha, Nebraska. It's going to be featuring former ECW and former WWE superstar Rhino at Pat Powers' Patriotic Palooza, which is one of our big shows every year. And then in Lincoln, Nebraska, July 12th, which is also my birthday, we will
Birthday
be
month.
having a appreciate it. MWA will be putting on a show in Lincoln, and then as far as I know, I won't have any other big shows till August. So, but those are the big ones coming up. So,
Awesome. So if my fans, I know you're a heel, but if my fans want to
mm.
pick up any merch, any of your merch, anything of yours, where can they find it?
Honestly, I don't have anything like put up online, but my DMs are always open for anybody who wants to order one, and I can ship it out and anything like that. On Instagram, it's at Tanner Renken, Tanner 2 underscores then Renken. That's the easiest way to contact me and everything like that. So
Awesome, Tanner. I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Before we go, if there was any kids that wanted to get into the business, they just didn't know what kind of advice they would need, like they just didn't know what to do. Like, what kind of advice would you have for them?
I would say to take advantage of any opportunity that you can. Because for me, when I first started, there wasn't a pro wrestling school in the Omaha, Lincoln area. There is now, Bulletproof Academy run by Magnum Pro, out in Omaha. Great reputable school, a lot of good students coming out right now. But at the time that I started, there was no school. So what did I have to do? I had to figure out, was there any wrestling in the area? There happened to be a couple companies at the time, so it's like, okay, I need to hit them up, see if they offer any training whatsoever. And it's, you gotta really take advantage of every opportunity you can. I didn't have the opportunity to go to a school. I was 19, no money, had no way of going out of state and surviving a pro wrestling school, let alone paying for one. So it's like I took advantage, I went all in. I did I did whatever I could to be a student of the game. And essentially, that's what has gotten me to the point where I'm at now. And it's what's going to propel me even further as soon as possible. So, whatever opportunity you have, just make sure you go all in and you commit to not only the business, but to yourself.
Awesome. I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It was so awesome. I definitely would love to have you back on in a future episode, maybe at the end of the year. Just let me know. Please
Absolutely.
tell your wrestling friends. I definitely
Absolutely.
want to have some more people from Nebraska because, yeah, your state needs to
Oh,
get the popularity. The red glasses will happily help you.
there's a lot of great talent out here that definitely deserves to be known. So, I think the biggest one that we've had in recent times, who has unfortunately he passed away a couple years ago, but Jason Strife, he appeared on WWE a couple times. He traveled the country wrestling big names like AJ Styles and everything like that. So, like, there's so much talent that he himself trained and everything like that that are just so worthwhile. And there's so much talent worthwhile in PWP, NLW, MWA, Magnum, like. Nebraska pro wrestling is definitely on the rise, but we got to get ourselves out there known a little bit more.
Definitely. It's big to get your name out there, but it's sometimes hard. Even coming on a
Oh yeah,
podcast, you think your name's gonna get somewhere, and it just may go one spot. But
right,
you never know. Someone from the East Coast may hear you, see this, your story, and really want to grab you and bring you to their humble abode. All right.
right.
Thank you so much. I'm Joe
Thank you.
Panther the Third.
I'm Tanner Renken.
And we will catch you in the next one.